Look, we need to talk about what just went down in Cleveland because this isn't just about football anymore. This is about power, respect, and a franchise that might be tearing itself apart from the inside. And honestly, I'm fired up about this because what happened to Shedeur Sanders after his first NFL win is absolutely inexcusable. Let me set this up for you real quick. Shedeur Sanders just walked into one of the toughest situations any rookie quarterback has faced in years. The Cleveland Browns haven't had a rookie starting quarterback win a game since 2007. Think about that for a second. Almost 2 decades of failure. Almost 2 decades of broken promises and shattered dreams for Browns fans who desperately wanted to believe in someone, anyone under center. And then Shedeur comes in, first start, on the road in Las Vegas against a Raiders team that's hungry for wins. And you know what this kid does? He only takes 1 sack the entire game. 1 sack for -3 yards. That's not luck. That's pocket presence. That's awareness. That's a rookie quarterback showing the kind of composure that takes veteran quarterbacks years to develop. He managed the game. He protected the football. He led his team to victory and broke a curse that had been hanging over Cleveland for nearly 20 years. So naturally, you'd expect the head coach to be thrilled, right? You'd expect Kevin Stefanski to be in that locker room celebrating with his rookie quarterback, telling him how proud he is, maybe even handing him a game ball for making franchise history, but that's not what happened, not even close. Instead, Stefanski walks into that locker room, holds up a game ball, and says 5 words that have the entire NFL world talking. Myles Garrett, this is for you. Now, before anyone jumps down my throat, let me be crystal clear. Myles Garrett absolutely deserved recognition. The man had 5 sacks. 5. That's an elite, game-changing performance, and nobody's taking that away from him. But here's the thing that's got everyone heated. You can give out multiple game balls. You can recognize multiple players. This wasn't an either-or situation. This was Stefanski making a choice about who he wanted to celebrate, and he chose not to celebrate the rookie quarterback who just made history for his organization. Shannon Sharpe went off about this. The media has been relentless. And Browns fans are divided because they love Myles Garrett, but they also know what they just witnessed. They saw their head coach essentially ignore the biggest moment in their rookie quarterback's career, and that stings. But what happened after the game might be even more revealing than what happened during it, because while all this controversy is swirling, Andrew Berry, the Browns general manager, the man who actually drafted Shedeur Sanders, he's in that locker room doing something completely different. Barry walks up to Shedeur and gives him a hug, not a handshake, not a quick pat on the back, a full, genuine embrace, the kind of hug that tells everyone watching exactly where he stands. That hug spoke louder than any words could. That hug said, I believe in you, I drafted you because I saw something special, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. Andrew Berry was making a statement, and trust me, everyone in that building noticed. So now we get to the press conference. And this is where things get really uncomfortable. The reporters smell blood in the water. They know there's a story here. They know Stefanski messed up, and they're not letting it go. One reporter asked the question everyone wants answered. Why didn't you give Shedeur a game ball after the game? And here's where Stefanski's response becomes a masterclass in how not to handle a situation. He starts talking about how they're constantly trying to highlight guys. He mentions Myles Garrett's game ball was probably pretty worthy. He brings up Gage having a big punt return. He talks about the defensive line getting 10 sacks because the coverage was good. He even acknowledges that having a rookie quarterback start his first game on the road and get a win is huge. But you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't say Shedeur's name, not once during that entire answer. Let me repeat that because it's so important. The reporter specifically asks about Shedeur Sanders by name, and Kevin Stefanski responds by talking about everyone else on the team while referring to his franchise quarterback simply as a rookie. No name, no personal acknowledgement, just generic coach speak that felt colder than Lake Erie in January. People noticed. Oh, they definitely noticed. Because when you watch that press conference, you can see Stefanski's discomfort. He's fidgeting. His body language is off. He's deflecting questions left and right. He's doing everything except giving a straight answer about why the quarterback who just ended an almost 2-decade drought didn't get the recognition he deserved. And here's where we need to talk about what's really going on beneath the surface, because according to multiple insiders, including Stephen A. Smith, there's a serious rift developing in Cleveland. And it's not about play calling or offensive scheme. It's about Shedeur Sanders himself. Word is that Kevin Stefanski and his offensive coordinator aren't fully sold on Shedeur. They see him as a project, maybe even someone they were forced to accept rather than someone they actually wanted. Meanwhile, Andrew Berry is all in. He's convinced this kid is the future. He sees the potential that made Shedeur one of the most talked about quarterback prospects in recent memory. And that creates a massive problem, because when your general manager and your head coach aren't on the same page about the most important position in sports, that's how organizations implode. That's how you get leaked stories. That's how you get dysfunction that spreads throughout the entire locker room. Now, Stefanski did try to say some positive things about Shedeur in other parts of the press conference. He talked about having discussions with all the quarterbacks about pocket mechanics and pocket movement. He acknowledged that Shedeur has the ability to make plays both in and out of the pocket. He praised the strong outing in terms of only taking one sack. But all of that feels hollow when you couldn't even say his name when directly asked about him. It feels like Stefanski's doing the bare minimum to avoid looking completely unprofessional, while his true feelings are showing through in everything he's not saying. And let's be real about the excuse he gave. Every game you go into it trying to highlight guys. Okay, cool. But you're telling me that in a game where your rookie quarterback just made franchise history, you couldn't find a way to specifically highlight him? You had to make it all about the defense? Come on, that's weak, and everybody knows it. Compare this to how other coaches handle their rookie quarterbacks. Kyle Shanahan built up Brock Purdy from day one. Sean McVay championed his quarterbacks publicly. Andy Reid made it clear that Patrick Mahomes was his guy long before Mahomes became a superstar. These coaches understand that public support matters. They know that building up your quarterback in the media creates confidence. They know that showing your organization you're all moving in the same direction is crucial for success. That's what Shedeur needs right now. He doesn't need generic coach speak about acknowledging everyone on the team. He needs his head coach to stand at that podium and say, Shedeur Sanders was incredible today. He showed me everything I needed to see. I'm proud of him. He's our quarterback. I believe in his future. Is that really so difficult? Apparently for Kevin Stefanski, it is. Now here's where I'll acknowledge the pressure Stefanski's under, and the Browns have been desperate for quarterback stability for decades. They've cycled through more quarterbacks than anyone wants to count. Every time they draft one, the expectations are massive, and so is the scrutiny. Stefanski's job security literally depends on whether Shedeur succeeds or fails. Maybe his reluctance to fully embrace Shedeur publicly comes from not wanting to put too much pressure on a rookie. Maybe he's trying to keep the spotlight distributed across the team so the kid doesn't feel like he has to carry everything alone. But you know what? That's not how you build a franchise quarterback's confidence. That's not how you create a culture of belief, and that's definitely not how you show your organization that everyone's moving in the same direction. Because while Stefanski's playing it safe with his words, Andrew Berry's out here taking the bold approach. Berry's showing Shedeur and the entire world that he believes in this kid unconditionally. And in the court of public opinion, Berry's winning right now. The truth is, Shedeur Sanders is going to be fine. He's got the talent. He's got the pedigree. He's got a general manager who believes in him. And most importantly, he's got the mental toughness to handle adversity. This game ball controversy is probably just fuel for his fire. I wouldn't be surprised if he uses this as motivation to prove Stefanski wrong and show everyone exactly why Andrew Berry was right to draft him. But the real question is, how long can this dysfunction last? How long can the Browns afford to have a divided house when it comes to their franchise quarterback? Because history tells us that when there's a rift between the front office and the coaching staff, something's got to give. And usually it's the coach who ends up on the unemployment line. Kevin Stefanski better hope Shedeur continues to succeed, because if this kid balls out and Stefanski's still treating him like an afterthought, Andrew Berry might have to make a decision about who's more valuable to the Browns' future. And something tells me he's already made up his mind. Think about what happened in that locker room. While Stefanski was avoiding eye contact and rushing through his game ball ceremony, Berry was embracing the future of the franchise. That visual tells you everything you need to know about where the power lies and where the belief lies. Berry drafted Shedeur. Berry staked his reputation on this kid. Berry's career is tied to whether Shedeur succeeds or fails just as much as Stefanski's is. But the difference is Berry's willing to publicly stand by his decision. He's willing to show support even when it might be unpopular. He's willing to be the guy who says, I believe in this quarterback no matter what. And you know what happens when a quarterback feels that kind of support from his general manager? He plays with confidence. He plays without fear. He takes the risks necessary to make big plays because he knows someone's got his back. That's the environment Andrew Berry's trying to create. Meanwhile, Stefanski's creating an environment of uncertainty, an environment where Shedeur has to wonder if his coach truly believes in him, an environment where every mistake might be magnified and every success might be minimized. That's toxic. That's how you ruin a young quarterback's development. And if I'm a Browns fan, I'm worried. I'm worried that the dysfunction we're seeing right now is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm worried that there are conversations happening behind closed doors that are even worse than what we're seeing publicly. I'm worried that my team finally found a quarterback who might actually be the answer, and the head coach doesn't seem to want to embrace him fully. Here's another thing people aren't talking about enough. Shedeur's been through adversity before. He played for his father at Colorado. He dealt with massive expectations. He dealt with criticism. He dealt with pressure that would crush most players, and he thrived. He's mentally tough. He's battle-tested. So while this game ball situation might sting, I guarantee you Shedeur's using it as motivation. I guarantee you he's in the film room right now working harder than ever. I guarantee you he's determined to prove that he deserves not just game balls, but Pro Bowls and championships. That's the mindset of elite quarterbacks. They use disrespect as fuel. They use doubters as motivation. They turn negative situations into opportunities to prove everyone wrong. And if Kevin Stefanski thinks he can keep treating Shedeur like just another guy, he's in for a rude awakening. Because when this kid starts putting up numbers and leading the Browns to wins, the media and the fans are going to demand that Stefanski give him the respect he deserves. And if he doesn't, there are going to be calls for his job. Think about the optics here for a second. You've got a general manager hugging his quarterback in celebration. You've got a head coach refusing to even say his quarterback's name in a press conference. Which one of those looks like strong leadership? Which one of those inspires confidence? Which one of those makes you believe the organization knows what it's doing? The answer is obvious, and that's why this story has blown up the way it has. People aren't just upset about a game ball. They're upset about what it represents. The lack of acknowledgement, the lack of respect, the lack of unity within an organization that desperately needs to be on the same page if they want to succeed. Cleveland has been starving for a franchise quarterback for so long that when they finally get one who shows real promise, the last thing they need is their head coach acting like he's not fully invested. And here's what really gets me. Stefanski had multiple opportunities to fix this. After the initial backlash, he could have put out a statement praising Shedeur. He could have called him personally and expressed how proud he was. He could have gone on his radio show or podcast and set the record straight, but instead he doubled down on the generic coach speak. He kept deflecting. He kept avoiding the direct question of why Shedeur didn't get the recognition he deserved. That tells me this isn't just an oversight. This is a pattern. This is how Stefanski truly feels, and he's not willing or able to hide it anymore. So what happens next? Well, Shedeur's going to keep playing. He's going to keep developing. He's going to keep winning games if the Browns put the right pieces around him, and Andrew Berry's going to keep supporting him publicly and privately. But Stefanski, he's walking a tightrope. One more incident like this, one more example of not supporting his quarterback, and the pressure is going to become unbearable. Browns fans are passionate. They're loyal, but they're also tired of dysfunction. They're tired of watching their team underachieve. They're tired of seeing potential squandered because of organizational issues. If they sense that Stefanski is holding back their franchise quarterback, they're going to turn on him fast. And ownership will listen, because at the end of the day, the Browns invested a high draft pick in Shedeur Sanders. They committed to him as the future. They can't afford to have their head coach undermining that investment. So Kevin Stefanski needs to make a choice. Either fully embrace Shedeur Sanders as his quarterback and show the world that he believes in him, or get out of the way and let someone else coach this team who will. Because right now, Andrew Berry's showing everyone what real leadership looks like. He's showing everyone what it means to stand by your guy. And Stefanski's showing everyone what it looks like when you're not fully committed. The clock is ticking. The pressure is mounting. And Shedeur Sanders is just getting started. This kid's got everything it takes to be special. The talent, the intelligence, the toughness, the support of his general manager. The only question is whether his head coach is going to be part of his success story or a footnote in the chapter about obstacles he had to overcome. My money's on Shedeur proving everyone right who believed in him and proving wrong everyone who doubted him. And when he does, Kevin Stefanski is going to have to answer for why he wasn't in his corner from day one.